Welcome to the Orbital Drop Shock Podcast. I'm your host, Jared. Um, this is one of many shows on the Comics League Network podcast network where we talk about all things geek, except this one is specifically targeted toward the masterfully created game series called Halo. Now, this first episode is going to be a little shorter. It's going to be a short one just to give you guys an introduction on what we're going to do. And next week's going to be our first official episode. So let me tell you guys about myself. I am obviously a geek. I am a geek about DC Comics, Halo, and probably Gears of War. But in terms of Halo, I've been a player since 2007 when Halo 3 came out. That was my first. And then I went to 1 and then 2. So I had 1, 2, and 3, then Wars and ODST, and then Reach was the first one where I got the special edition. That's been special editions all throughout. So what we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about characters, storylines from the comics, from the games maybe. I think in the weeks leading up to when Halo Infinite comes out closer, we will be doing episodes on that. We'll talk about it. We'll recount the story of at least the 343 games, 4, 5, and 6, 4 and 5, just so you guys are prepared. And then let's see what else. We can talk about specific armors for Spartans, particular concepts like Spartan slip space, the breakdown of the Covenant, any number of things really. And it's going to be a really, really good time because I really enjoy Halo. It's one of my favorite things. In fact, on the YouTube channel, you can actually find For Under Two Capes, my comic book podcast that I do every Friday with Lad. You can see we did a Halo themed episode because Marvel Comics had published Halo comics, and we went over that on the podcast. And yeah, so you can see that where we talk about the Fall of Reach comic storyline, the first one called Boot Camp, where we talk about the origin of the Spartan 2 program. And then I think next week we'll cover part 2, the Covenant. And then actually it's part 2. We'll cover part 2 of that storyline. I think it's part 2 is the Covenant, part 3 is Invasion, or one of those. And then we'll do maybe we'll do it on the Spartan programs, all of them, the Orion Project, Spartan 2, Spartan 3, Spartan 4, and so on. And then let's see, what else can we talk about? We can talk about the weapon systems, the ships, the battles. Yeah, we can do an entire episode based on important battles in the Halo universe. We can do one about the Flood, the Forerunners. There's so much content that we can do, and really excited because Halo is one of the things I've always wanted to do a podcast on, and we can see what we can really achieve together. In terms of guests, I have a couple of my friends who are big time Halo players, one of which was the guest on the Halo themed Under Two Capes episode, Logan. He's as big a Halo nerd as me, so we'll definitely be having him on sometimes. He works, so occasionally we'll have him on. I'll have Lad on. I'll have my friend Tyler on because he knows a lot about Halo too. And we'll be able to provide a nice open discussion themed episode. So the way each week is going to work is that each week is going to be, I'm going to try as best I can to give more of a discussion themed episode instead of it being okay, so this happened, this storyline, this. I'm not going to whenever I do storylines, I'm not going to recount exactly what happened word for word because that's boring. Trust me, I did that for a while on Under Two Capes, and it got really boring doing story episodes. So I decided that I'm just gonna, the way the storyline ones are gonna work is I'm gonna give you okay, so this happened. So I'll give you a basic, in a nutshell, what happens in the story, and then I'll give you my thoughts. I like this character. I liked what happened here. I like this act more than this act. And such. It's going to be more of a general discussion. It's just going to be a very, very, very brief, in a nutshell, summation of the top of the plot, and then we're going to go into discussion. And then, as always, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel Comics League Network because There's lots of other great shows too. Like there's Knights of Mandalore, which is the Star Wars themed podcast. There's my news channel, my news show, where I talk about basically just comic book and geek news. It's gonna be general news, applying to any of the shows, any of the fandoms that we cover, whether that be Halo, whether that be Star Wars or comic books. And let's see, what else can we cover? We can show Halo memorabilia as well. And then if we have going back to the way the podcast can be structured, and then occasionally we'll have a Halo trivia night where I invite like maybe Logan, and we do like Halo themed Jeopardy games and such. And we're generally going to have a lot of fun. And then we might even do like gameplay, like let's play days, because I have a game capture, I can plug into my laptop, capture some Halo footage, put my head on it, and then we can just have a lot of fun with that. You can watch us be slowly destroyed by Tyler in Halo, unless of course you play Halo 4, because I can defeat him in Halo 4. And in fact, I did defeat him today. So obviously we're like huge Halo fans. So we basically play it every day. And it's a great way to like, actually, before I say it, let me tell you how I got into Halo, specifically the full story. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and then as a result, I spent a lot of time off my feet, like recuperating from one hospital visit or another. So obviously recuperating, I couldn't like move around that much. So my family got me an Xbox, and then for the longest time, my game was Star Wars Battlefront 2, like the classic ones. So that would be my game. I'd be playing this for like a very, very long time. Now, in terms of Halo, so one day I was in Blockbuster. I'm aging myself, but you get the idea. And I saw Halo 3. It had just come out. My dad's like, "Hey, you should rent this." So I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was 11 at the time. So I actually asked him, but it's rated M. And he's like, "I don't care. Just go ahead and play it." So I plugged it in. And previously, a buddy of mine had said, "Dude, you got to play this game Halo. You got to play this game Halo." So I was like, "Okay, so I'll check that out." So what eventually happened was I plugged in Halo 3, and that was it. I was hooked. I was like, "This is the greatest game of all time." I still think Halo is the greatest game of all time. It's my favorite game of all time. Favorite. It's tied with DC as my favorite like lore story and all that stuff. But it's really, really good. Now let's see. What else? Okay, so and then basically I went from Halo 3 to Halo 1 into Halo 2. I got those original Xbox games, and I plugged in my 360. Then I got Halo Wars, Halo ODSP, and then at that point Reach came out. That was like Reach, I think, stands as like the perfect Halo game. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Reach. Then let's see what else. Then 4 came out, which I got. I got the special edition that had like the special edition box, the clip for Halo, the Halo 400 Dawn series and all that stuff. Then, so I got the Xbox One, and then came Halo 5 in 2015. And okay, so this is the one time 343 has actually angered me, because so they say when you pre-order the Legendary Edition, they gave you the game a week early. So I was like, oh, okay, this is great. I'll be able to play it a week early. This is fantastic. I'm so excited, so pumped. So I plug it in, game installs. Then I play it, and it says you can't play this for a week. And I'm like, what? So it turns out the way it worked is you could only install it early, which I guess I get why they did that, because it allows you to basically because that way when the game shows up, when the game actually is released, I'm doing air quotes right now, you can actually just start playing it, instead of just like waiting for like 3 to 4 hours, depending on your internet, for it to install. So I understood that, and I was able to play it immediately a week later. I wish they had said instead of receive the game early, be able to download the game a week early. I wasn't bothered by the fact that the Legendary Edition didn't come with a physical disc. I was fine with that. I was like, I really don't care at this point. But anyway, that's interesting. So anyway, at that point, I got Halo Wars 2, which was an interesting like advancement from Halo Wars 1 to Halo Wars 2, because like, well, for one thing, the bases looked differently. There was lots more different powers and units. It felt the same, but it felt different, if that makes sense. It felt like an actual sequel, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, another thing we will be covering is the 400 Dawn and Nightfall series, because those are amazing. And then it's okay. And then yeah, it's been just that's all. It's been like a lot of we've been like just plugging along through Halo throughout like the years. Master Chief Collection, which is so much fun. I just played that today. But anyway, so that's the basic introduction to Under Two Capes. Next week's episode is going to be a tad longer. I'd imagine these episodes aren't going to be longer than like 40 to 45, and the rarest case. So solo episodes will probably be like 45 minutes or so. And then like episodes where I have like a guest and we can have an open discussion, those will be the longer ones. So if you see a varied length on the episodes, that's why. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching. Most likely you won't watch me because this is a YouTube exclusive show. Once again, all the shows on the YouTube channel, except for Under Two Capes, are YouTube exclusive. So they'll be on the YouTube channel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Under Two Capes 2020. And hope you guys will be here next week for episode 1 of the Orbital Drop Shock Podcast. Bye-bye.